Good evening and a very warm welcome to your English news package with Radio and Television Tonga for the hour. Making headlines, His Majesty approves the appointment of Lord Fohe as the new Minister for Agriculture, Food and Forestry. Justice Tongatapu says she is committed to do her best in fulfilling her duty as a judge in the Supreme Court of Tonga. And the Tongan borders officially opened today. Now with the stories in details. His Majesty King Tupou VI has approved the appointment of Lord Fohe as the new Minister for Agriculture, Food and Forestry. Lord Fohe took his oath during today's parliamentary deliberation. Lord Fohe takes on the ministerial role following the Hapai 12 People's Representative Williami Manupangahingano's death. A letter from the Prime Minister, which was submitted to Parliament, indicated that Lord Fohe started in his role on the 29th of July 2022. According to Honourable Huakamame Liko's speech during the House deliberation, Lord Fohe was willing to accept the role from His Majesty. The Legislative Assembly of Tonga resumed parliamentary deliberations this morning after a one-month hiatus since June when the 2022-2023 national budget was passed. The agenda for this morning's deliberations included discussions on 17 regulations, amendments to public bills, and the reading of 10 government annual reports. 12 members of Parliament were in favour of the amendment to the Customs Act 2021 in the first reading, and after the second reading, the House supported Tongatapu 5 MP Dr. Isake Valueke's suggestion to submit the matter to the Whole House Committee to continue discussions. Next on the agenda was the second amendment to the Customs Act regarding excise tax, in which the Minister of Revenue and Customs, Tadafu Moyaki, explained it is one of the adjustments to goods that weren't excise taxed. After the first reading for this amendment, 12 MPs were in favour, and after the second, the Tongatapu 5 MP once again suggested that the matter be submitted to the Whole House Committee for further discussion. The House supported this suggestion. Next was the third amendment on excise tax, which 11 MPs were in favour of after its first reading with no objections, and after the second reading, the matter was once again submitted to the Whole House Committee upon suggestion from the Tongatapu 5 MP. Afterwards, Regulation 2022 was discussed in what the Minister of Revenue and Customs said was the fourth amendment to the new Revenue Act that was passed by Parliament, which aims to improve the process in which revenue is collected and renew financial reports from businesses. 11 MPs were in favour of this amendment after the first and second reading, and the matter went to the Whole House Committee again. Regulation 13/2022 was next on the agenda, which is the fifth amendment to the PESA Plus 2021 agreement, to which the Customs and Revenue Minister explained is an agreement that the government has agreed to, so we can build trade relations in the Pacific and receive support from Australia and New Zealand, and so it is really important. 11 MPs were in favour of this amendment after the first and second reading, and the matter went to the Whole House Committee. Meanwhile, members of Parliament are also scheduled to undertake their annual constituency visits from August the 15th to the 31st. It is an opportunity for the legislators to speak with their electorate on issues impacting their daily lives and requires government and Parliament's attention. Parliamentary deliberations will sit in September until the state closing in December. The welcoming ceremony for Justice Tongatapu as a new judge for the Supreme Court completed this morning in court. Mark Ake with more on their story.
During the ceremony, Justice Tupou expressed her humble gratitude to His Majesty King Tupou VI and the Privy Council for having the faith, confidence, and considering her worthy of this appointment.
I am honored and privileged to answer this call to serve and to work hard to be the best judge I can be. He said that judges are God's ambassadors of reconciliation. It had the power to reconcile lives, at times lives shattered and broken. It had the power to heal relational wounds and provide medicinal justice and judgment. And it had the power to repair the fabric of society, often torn by hurtful acts. Last Friday, before His Majesty's Cabinet and the Honourable Prime Minister, I took the oath to be loyal to His Majesty, King Tupou VI, and to perform truly and with impartiality my duties as a judge in accordance with the Constitution and the laws of Tonga.
Meanwhile, Lord Chief Justice Honorable Michael Whitten says the appointment of Justice Tupou represents an important development for confidence in greater gender representation on the court and within Tonga's society as a whole.
Such an illustrious career and contributions to society are more than just professional achievements. They evidence and reflect the intellectual acumen, industry, service, and integrity that are essential to this court as we continue to play our constitutional part in addressing the ever-changing myriad of legal, political, financial, environmental, and social challenges which Tonga must confront and will continue to overcome.
Justice Tupou began her duty as a judge of the Supreme Court and Land Court of Tonga today. She replaced the former Justice Lucky Niu, whose 4-year appointment as Supreme Court judge came to an end on the 30th of June this year. Whitten formally acknowledged and thanked Justice Niu for his 4 years' service in the Supreme Court of Tonga. The ceremony was also attended by Lord Dalgety, Attorney General Intafola Moitui, Acting President of Tonga Law Society, Alisi Tamoepeau, Police Commissioner Shane McLennan, Justice Tupou's husband, and his family.
As the month of August begins today, it is a historical day for the country as our border officially opens for international flights after more than 2 years of border closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Waifonatu Paula with more on this story.
Today's official opening of our border is in line with the government's open border policy framework, where the number of incoming flights to Tonga will be limited to 2 weekly from New Zealand and Fiji, while only 1 flight from Australia, starting from today, August 1st to August 28th. This is expected to increase to 3 weekly flights from New Zealand starting on the 29th of August until the 31st of October, where there will be 6 flights per week from New Zealand. Meanwhile, there will be further review to the number of flights and cruise liners for September and October 2022, and will be at the discretion of the National Emergency Management Committee, or NEMC. However, there are health conditions required before entering Tonga, including COVID testing and vaccination proof. Tongan citizens who have not been fully vaccinated can also return home, but they'll need to advise the Ministry of Health and also pay for their own quarantine at government-approved quarantine facilities. Meanwhile, the government's decision to reopen its international border lies in the fact that the number of COVID cases has decreased considerably to less than 10 COVID cases daily in the past few weeks. Current COVID-19 daily curfew will remain until that is reviewed next month, as the government confirms the progressive opening of the country's borders beginning today. Honourable Wakame Liku stated in a press conference last week that the curfew will remain from 12 midnight to 5 in the morning, and the wearing of face masks in public places is still in force with the orange light traffic light status. Waifonatu Paula for Radio and Television Tonga News.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia donated 4,000 kilos of dates to Her Royal Highness Princess Angelica Latu, Tonga's High Commissioner in Australia. Dates are fruits from the palm trees grown in many tropical regions of the world, especially in the Middle Eastern countries. The donation is part of the country's ongoing assistance to the Kingdom of Tonga following the January 15th devastation. The shipment dates were handed to Her Royal Highness in Australia, who then shipped it to here to Tonga for those who were severely affected by the 15th of January volcanic eruption to enjoy. The Prime Minister Honorable Hogawame Liko announced during a press conference last week that America's Deputy Secretary Senator Wendy Ruth Sherman will visit the kingdom this weekend. Mark Ake with more on this story.
Deputy Secretary Senator Wendy Ruth Sherman will visit Tonga on Friday on a one-day visit after the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris announced that a U.S. embassy will be established in the kingdom last month. Hogawame Liko said, "The establishment of this embassy is a milestone to the country as it coincides with the 50th anniversary since Tonga and the U.S. began diplomatic relations." As previously reported, the public are in full support of the establishment of this embassy in Tonga, as many believe that visa applications will be much more convenient compared to traveling to Fiji to apply for one. Senator Sherman is the first woman in U.S. history to become Deputy Secretary of State and will return this Saturday.
And that concludes tonight's English news package. But before we part, here's one final look at tonight's top stories. His Majesty approves the appointment of Lord Fohe as the new Minister for Agriculture, Food and Forestry. Justice Betonia Dubo committed to do her best in fulfilling her duty as a judge in the Supreme Court of Tonga. And the border officially opens today with international flights resumed. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for your company. I'm Alice Dubo. Have a blessed evening.